The sound of crying traveled down the hospital corridor long before anyone understood what was happening. Nurses paused in mid-step, and a few patients turned their heads, startled. The hallway, usually filled with quiet footsteps and murmurs, suddenly felt tense, heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. A pregnant woman stood near the waiting area, her hand gripping the railing as if it were the only thing preventing her from collapsing. Her face was pale, sweat shining across her forehead, and her other hand clutched her stomach. She was clearly close to her due date, her belly round and heavy, the weight of new life pressing against her. But she was not crying simply because of labor pains. Another woman, tall, fierce, and dressed in a striking royal blue dress, was gripping her hair and tugging with violent anger. The woman in blue was screaming words sharp enough to wound, her voice full of jealousy and rage. The pregnant woman tried to pull away, but each step she took backward only brought another yank of pain. For a moment, no one moved. It was the kind of moment where time stilled, not because people didn't want to help, but because what they were witnessing felt unreal, like something no one expected to happen in a place meant for healing and new beginnings. Finally, a nurse rushed forward, calling for security. But before anyone reached them, a deep voice cut through the chaos. "Stop," the voice commanded. It was not loud, but it carried weight, so much weight that everyone in the hallway froze. Even the woman in blue paused, her hand still tangled in the other woman's hair, her breath heavy and wild. A man stepped forward, tall and composed, wearing a dark overcoat that contrasted with his silver hair. His presence felt powerful, the kind of power that comes not just from wealth, but from reputation, from history, from influence that could move entire cities. People recognized him instantly. Arthur Vaughan, one of the wealthiest and most influential businessmen in the region. A man whose decisions shaped industries. A man many feared, respected, or admired, but always acknowledged. But the pregnant woman did not seem to know him. Her name was Sienna Hall, a 28-year-old with gentle eyes and a quiet spirit. She had lived her life believing her father had abandoned her long ago. Her mother had told her he walked away, unable to handle the responsibility of family. That story had lived in Sienna's heart for years. It shaped her, softened her, made her believe that she had to hold herself together because no one else would. So she learned to be gentle but strong, loving but quiet, forgiving even when it hurt. She married Jordan, believing that finally, she had found someone who saw her heart and treasured it. In the early years, they were happy. They built dreams together, whispered hopes at midnight, and planned to start a family. Sienna thought she had found a home in him. But over time, money began to change him. Success became more important than kindness. His ambitions grew faster than their love. The warmth in his voice cooled. His laughter disappeared into late nights at work. Perfume she did not own began clinging to his shirts. When she asked, he avoided her eyes. Then came the day when he did not bother to deny it anymore. He told her plainly that he had fallen in love with another woman. Mara Steele. A woman who carried herself like she belonged to a world Sienna would never fit into. Beautiful, stylish, confident to the point of arrogance. Someone who believed that power meant winning, and winning meant taking what she wanted, no matter who she hurt. Jordan left Sienna that night. He didn't look back. Months later, when Sienna's pregnancy became complicated, her doctor advised her to stay in the hospital for monitoring. She went alone. There was no husband by her side, no comforting words whispered against her hair. Just silence. She thought she would be safe there. She did not know Mara had found out where she was. And that jealousy, deep, bitter jealousy, had led her straight into that hospital corridor, wearing her expensive blue dress like armor and rage like fire. "You think that baby is going to keep him?" Mara screamed now, finally releasing her grip on Sienna's hair. "You really think he wants you? He never did." The words struck harder than the physical pain. Sienna's knees buckled slightly, but she steadied herself with the railing, breathing with difficulty. A contraction hit, and her hand pressed to her stomach. She whispered something no one else heard, maybe to her unborn child, maybe to herself, maybe to someone who used to love her. Before anyone could react further, Arthur stepped closer. His eyes, sharp and commanding, softened when they landed on Sienna's face. Something inside him broke, not loudly, not visibly, but deeply. Because he knew those eyes. He had seen them once before, decades ago, in a woman he had never forgotten. A woman he had loved, but had lost, not because he didn't care, but because sometimes life becomes tangled in misunderstandings and mistakes that cannot be undone. He had spent years searching for the daughter taken from him. Years of regret. And now here she was, trembling, afraid, in pain, alone. His daughter. "Don't touch her again," he said to Mara, his voice low but filled with a warning that left no room for argument. Mara scoffed, still unaware of who she had just crossed. "And who exactly are you to tell me what to do? Do you think I care about her? She's nothing." Arthur didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "She is my family," he said. The word family hung in the air. It was enough. Hospital staff immediately stepped back, not because they feared him but because they respected him. Even the hospital director had hurried in by now, head lowered slightly in acknowledgement. Mara's arrogance began to falter. A phone call was made by one of Arthur's aides. Within minutes, security and police arrived. And when they escorted Mara away, cameras were already gathering outside, capturing her struggle, her disbelief, her humiliation. Jordan arrived shortly after, panic in his eyes when he saw the situation unraveling, when he realized the consequences of the choices he had made. He approached Sienna, guilt-heavy in each step. "Sienna, I." Arthur stood between them without even looking at him. "You don't speak to her," he said. Jordan's mouth opened and closed, as if searching for words that no longer existed. He had lost something he never truly understood until that moment. Sienna was taken to the delivery room soon after. The contractions had grown stronger, her breathing faster. Pain and fear collided inside her, but so did something else, an unexpected comfort. The gentle squeeze of a hand. Arthur's hand. He looked at her with a softness that held the weight of every year he had been absent. "I'll be right here," he murmured. And for the first time in a long time, Sienna believed someone. The night outside was filled with rain, the city lights blurring into streaks of silver on the windows. The hallway quieted again, but the air remained full of something fragile but real. Hours later, Sienna gave birth to a baby boy. Small, warm, perfect. When they placed him in her arms, tears streamed down her face, not sharp, broken tears, but soft ones filled with relief and love. When Arthur entered the room, he didn't come forward immediately. He stood near the doorway, watching her cradle the child, her face illuminated by the soft hospital light. She looked peaceful, almost glowing with the quiet strength she always carried. After a moment, she finally looked up. Her voice trembled. "Who are you?" He swallowed, his eyes turning glassy, not from pride or power, but from love. "I'm someone who should have never left," he said softly. "Someone who is proud of you. Proud of the strength you carry. Proud of the heart you kept open, even through pain." She looked at him again, really looked, and saw it, the resemblance. The shape of his eyes. The sadness behind them. The story he had never gotten the chance to tell. She cried again, but this time, the tears were healing. Weeks passed. The world outside learned everything. Reporters loved the story of downfall. Mara's career crumbled overnight. Jordan's reputation rotted publicly. The life they had built on vanity and desire collapsed beneath them. And Sienna, she didn't look for revenge. She didn't need it. Life had already turned the page. Arthur moved her into a quiet home surrounded by gardens and sunlight. There were warm dinners, gentle mornings, soft laughter. Not because of wealth, but because of love finally returned. Every night, she rocked her son to sleep, brushing her fingers through his tiny hair. "You are loved," she whispered. "You are safe. You will never know the pain I did." And in that small home filled with new beginnings, something healed, not just in her, but in Arthur too. Because love had finally found its way back home.